Hi, I'm Cheryl Ann from Cherry Lane's Cupcakes, and today I'm going to show you how to bake fudgy brownie bites. These brownies are really chocolatey and fudgy, and especially on the sides when the edges have caramelized a little. Oh my god, it's really yummy, so let's get straight into it. You'll need 400 grams of dark chocolate roughly chopped, 113 grams of unsalted butter, 3 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, half a cup of caster sugar, half a cup of light brown sugar firmly packed, half a cup plus a quarter cup of plain flour, a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Firstly, start by pouring boiling water into a saucepan until about halfway full. The reason why I use boiling water is because it's going to be a lot easier to heat up. And then turn on your stove and switch it down to a medium-low heat and let the water come to a simmer. Then in a heat-proof bowl, put your roughly chopped chocolate into there and place it over the saucepan, making sure that it fits snugly. And just keep stirring your chocolate as it melts. You want to make sure you're standing over it throughout and just keep stirring it because it will help the chocolate to melt more evenly and prevent it from burning. So once your chocolate is starting to melt and it looks something like this, just add in your butter and just keep stirring. You want to keep stirring because your already melted chocolate will also help to melt your butter. And if you're using a metal bowl over your boiling water, make sure you're wearing like oven mitts or something because they can heat up quite a bit and you may burn yourself. So really be careful. So fast forward a few minutes as I am stirring this as it melts and comes together. Once you see a mixture start to look something like this, where pretty much all your chocolate and butter is already melted, but not completely, you can still see quite large chunks of butter inside. You want to remove it from the heat as the chocolate is still warm and it will continue melting your butter. Just keep mixing it until everything is nice and smooth. So once it looks something like this, just set it aside and you're ready to move on to your next step. Then, in a large bowl, crack in 3 large eggs, add in your vanilla extract, your caster sugar and your brown sugar, and just use a hand whisk and give it a good mix through until everything is well mixed together and combined when all of your sugars have dissolved into the mixture. Your mixture should look something like this, really smooth without any chunks of sugar inside. So now that your chocolate mixture has been sitting on your counter for a little while, it should already be cooled down to around room temperature. You want to make sure that your chocolate is not really hot when you add this into your egg mixture because you don't want to cook your eggs as you pour in your chocolate. So just pour it in and then stir it with a spatula or a spoon. I just use a spatula because I really scrape down my chocolate mixture bowl so that I get as much chocolate in my brownies as possible. So I just stir that until everything is nice and smooth without any more streaks inside. And once your mixture looks something like this, just sift in your flour, baking powder, and your salt, and just use a spoon or a spatula and just roughly stir it in until everything is nice and combined and looks something like this. Just really smooth and you can no longer see any traces of flour inside. It's quite a thick batter, but make sure your mixture is really nice and smooth like this. So here I'm just lining my 12 by 8 inch baking tray with baking paper. I started by lining the sides and then use a sheet across. Personally, I find lining baking trays so much better than just using cooking spray or buttering your trays because it makes it so much easier to remove your brownies after. And it also reduces the amount of effort you need when washing out your trays. So once you do that, you just pour in your mixture completely and using a spoon or a spatula and just roughly smooth it on the top so that your whole tray is filled. Make sure your oven is preheated to 180 degrees Celsius and then you want to bring that down to 175 degrees Celsius and bake that for 23 minutes and then bring it to 150 degrees Celsius for 7 minutes and then back up to 160 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. You know your brownies are completely done when you stick a toothpick into it and it comes out clean, with just maybe a tiny little bit of crumb on there. So once your brownies are completely cooled, you can very easily just pull off the two sides of your baking paper to remove your brownies, put it onto a cooling rack, and just dust on some icing sugar to make it look all fancy, and just chop it up into whatever sizes you desire. Here I chopped mine into tiny little cubes, about 1.5 centimeters thick, and then I stuffed them into little jars that I bought from IKEA. They come in like a pack of 4, and each jar costs roughly maybe $1 or so. And the good thing about these is that they come with an airtight cap, which will help keep these brownies fresher for longer. So I just tied a little piece of cloth on the top with some twine and made a customized little tag that said homemade and gave these away as little thank you gifts. So you can definitely do this at home as well, and I'm sure whoever's going to receive them is going to love it. So definitely give this brownies a go, let me know what you think about it, and if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Cheryl N from Cherry Lane's Cupcakes!